All right, welcome to Witchpolice Radio. On this podcast, as the listeners mainly know, I try to focus on Manitoba musicians, but also Manitoba adjacent, as I like to call it, musicians who have a history that connects with this province in some way or another. And the guest on this episode is someone who I think is very well known to really the majority of Canadians for his work as a musician, as an actor, as an activist. And I think that really you don't really need an introduction, but I'm going to ask you to do it anyway. And if you can just maybe give a brief description of what is your connection to this province?
I live in other parts of the world from time to time. So my feet currently happen to be in Alberta, but my heart is in Manitoba.
I like that way of putting it for sure. So, like I said, I mean, Tom Jackson is a household name, I think, for a lot of Canadians, and you have a new single out that it really addresses an issue that is really gripping people across the country lately. And I think that, well, first of all, maybe just tell me a bit about the song, because it's very emotional and stirring, and it really deals with current events in a powerful way.
I happen to be in Scotland in May.
Okay.
And on the national news, the world news, this item came up about the Kamloops Indian Residential School and the discovery of 100 or 215 unmarked graves. When I watched it, I searched for it several times, and then I went online and I sat down, and it was a profound effect on me. And I'm going to guess it was a profound effect on many. And I sat down and wrote a poem.
Okay.
And then I put a little bit of music to it, and I went, okay, I have to do something with this. So ultimately we recorded it, and it's now a single, and it's a video, and we need to get people to watch and listen, and promote it, to share it with others so they can watch and listen. But it's because we need to have the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Need to stimulate and maintain a momentum that this has created. So since May, I've watched a momentum take place, and it may be historic in that people are paying attention to Indigenous issues and displaying compassion and empathy and love when they think about this tragic event. And it is tragic.
Yeah.
And I know that we talk a lot about truth and reconciliation, and I listen to others, and they tend to have the same kind of opinion as I do. You can't come to reconciliation until you have the truth and reconciliation. Find the truth first. And let's talk about that. What does that mean? I mean, a lot of people have known about this in their history. They've known about it, they've heard about it, but they never talked about it. They went, oh, that's terrible. But they never really talked about it. They never really realized in a more tangible sense of what actually happened and how often it happened.
Yeah.
And so in order to be part of that, to be part of a movement that actually creates a better place, we have to acknowledge, and I think about this because the Truth and Reconciliation Day has now become a thing, and people are, some for, some against, but again, you go back to talk about the tragic of the past, realize what it is. There's a lot of pain
Mm-hmm.
in healing. It's not always perfect. It doesn't happen overnight. I mean, if you cut your finger, it's sore for days. If you stub your little toe, it's sore for days, but you really realize you never even knew you had a little toe before. But for weeks, you realize you got a little toe.
Yeah.
That's the truth. Now, what are you going to do about it? Right? So, acknowledge the tragic, but find the magic. I mean, this day, this Truth and Reconciliation Day is a day to celebrate. It's a day to reflect, yes, but there are many things to celebrate. The beauty of our children, and I don't mean as a race, I mean as a species.
Hmm.
We're just like you, Sam. We're just like you. Your children need love, just like my children need love.
Absolutely.
And we
And
need,
I think that's maybe something that has touched a lot of people who maybe didn't consider this issue before. Because I mean, I have children who would have been the ages of many of the kids in residential schools, and based on circumstance, they were not. They were born many years after they'd closed. They were born white. This didn't happen to them, but this could happen to so many families exactly like mine, over many years. So I think that aspect of it has really pulled on a lot of people's emotions and made that connection. That what if it was my kids? And I think that has hopefully helped people to want to get involved and want to find a way to move for the country to move forward.
and let me go back to the earlier point.
Sure.
It needs to be redundant. We need to continue to talk about this. In order to create change, it has to be in front of you. I ask somebody, do you want to see a better world? If you want to see a better world, Sam, say I.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone does. Yeah.
If you want to see a better world, say love.
Love.
Yeah. The world is better already. In an instant, right? In an instant,
Yeah.
better already. I had a great conversation with a group of students in Newfoundland last year. And there's 27 of them. And we were talking about what would we do under these conditions? Because every day seems like a new canvas. Doesn't it feel like that to you?
It does. Yeah.
Every day something's changed and significantly it's a new canvas. Now, what are we going to do? This again, that's a reconciliation thing. But I said, okay, these were art students. And I said, okay, what are you going to paint? What are we going to do? And they all said, love. Not the word.
Yeah.
The verb. And we decided, all right, when we hang up this, when you and I get off this call, I'm going to go and phone somebody and tell them I love them.
It's a great idea.
Right. And okay, so now there were 27 students. Here's the idea. All your listeners, the people that are listening to us now, when we finish this call, go phone somebody and tell them that you love them. Can you imagine what kind of a world it would be that if all your listeners call somebody to tell them they love them, what the world's going to be like in 10 minutes? Like just that. Imagine, right? What's the world going to be like? Okay, if you get that, and we talk about children, and we talk about the love of a species, just imagine this, and then realize it's truth. There are more First Nation Indigenous children in foster homes than all of the lost graves combined.
Yeah, that's
today.
Startling. Yeah.
Okay, we got it. I get it. I got it. Leave me alone already. You're hurting me. No, that's just a little toe.
Yeah.
I just stubbed your toe. Now let's go. Now we got to go and do something and realize that it can be done. Just last night, we went to vote for a prime minister.
Yep.
We have that right. We have the right to create change. We have the right to use the word and the verb.
I really like your way of looking at this. It's so positive. In a situation where there's so much sadness and so much tragedy, I definitely respect the way that you are approaching this, because I think it would be possible, seeing all these numbers of children who have died in horrible circumstances coming up. It seems almost weekly they find a new school and more graves, and I think it would be very possible for a lot of people to be just dragged down by the negativity of all that. And so I like your approach of focusing on love rather than the grief, which I'm sure is there obviously for so many people still.
Yes, you can take the high road.
Yeah,
there is grief and legitimate, but there is a high road. The high road is take action.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean to say burn a church. It doesn't mean to say drive a wedge
Yeah.
between good and bad, but you do have a choice. And the choice is simple at this point. Listen to the tune.
Hmm.
It is, to the imagination, it's serious. But if it does affect you, here's your call to action. Go look at it on YouTube, press like and press share. And encourage everybody else that you know in your world to press like and press share. Because what's happened, and I've observed it, is that the voices of those dead children could be heard after 2:15.
Yeah.
They could be heard. Now it's gone silent.
Yeah.
The voices have gone silent. Keep those voices alive, and our species will be a better species tomorrow than it is today.
Do you think that your role as an artist, is this maybe a better way of reaching some people than, some people who don't want to watch the news, don't want to follow what's going on? Does the idea of a song that is, again, it's a very powerful song, and I think it speaks to people's emotions, I mean, strongly. Do you think it's a better way to maybe reach some people who have maybe ignored this situation or just don't want to hear about it, doing it through music and doing it through art?
My observation is that art is the most powerful instrument of change in the history of the human race. The most powerful instrument of change. So you have a choice, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Ballads or bullets.
Yeah.
Your choice.
Yeah, and I think that most reasonable people would go ballads any day of the week, right?
I'm with you.
Yeah, yeah. So is this I know, like you said, it's available now. YouTube is probably the best choice in that they can see the video and everything that accompanies it. But is this going to be part of any kind of larger release, or is this just a one-off single to talk about what's happening in the world today?
Right now, it's a single. You can get on Spotify and all the
Yeah.
usual socials. There is a movie in the works. You're kind of the first person to know that. But there is a movie going to be shot.
Okay.
That's 2:15. And if I'm any good at my imagination coming to truth, we'll be rolling on that thing before the end of the year.
Oh wow, well, that's exciting. That's again another way to get the message out, right?
Yeah, you bet.
Have you I mean, I know that the whole world, especially for artists, has been kind of in torment because of turmoil, I guess, because of the pandemic. But have you been able to perform much lately? Have you been able to play any shows, or have you mostly been just sort of hunkered down recording and things like that?
We've been very active in the virtual world.
Yeah, yeah.
We produced a series last year to raise money for Unison Benevolent Fund, and we produced 12 online shows called Almighty Voices. And Unison, here's the pay it forward. Unison is an organization that is dedicated to helping musicians in crisis.
Right,
That's
right.
the whole purpose. And so Almighty Voices raised money through the web broadcast and whatnot, and it was quite successful. But most importantly for us, it gave us the ability to actually survive. If we didn't do it commercially, everybody donated their time, but it gave us that feeling that we could actually do something for ourselves by doing something for somebody else. And so really finding people that need help and finding people who need to help, and putting those two entities together.
And there's a lot of people who have needed help over the last little while, for sure, just because things have been so chaotic.
Yeah, you bet. Yeah.
What is I mean, I know you have this song is obviously the latest kind of example of it, but your whole career you've been involved in charitable work and in funding causes and working for good causes and using your music and your acting and everything to promote that. What is the I mean, obviously, I know why you want to do good things and help people, but what is the draw for you? What makes you feel like you need to be putting something like that out in the world? Because you could very easily, with your talents and everything, just be any other actor or any other singer without having that kind of aspect of activism of charity and all of that in your work.
I was in a dark hole. You ever find yourself in a dark hole?
I know,
Sometimes you feel like you're invisible because you're depressed, or the world isn't quite right around you. And well, I've certainly been there.
sure,
And I had a visitor once in that state, and the visitor said, "I'm going to do you a favor. I'm going to send you an angel. And that angel, if you help them, I'll help you, because that angel's going to be worse off than you."
right,
And I went, "Well, how will I know this? So this actually happened. This is real. And it sounds like a fairy tale, but it happened." And I said, "How will I know the angel? I have wings?" Come on, buddy. No. I said, and then I said, "Okay, I'll fine. Okay, sure, I'll do that." Well, that brought me to you, Sam. That was 30 some odd years ago,
yeah,
32 years ago. And that brought me to you. I'm still looking for the angel,
right.
right?
So you
Not
keep
going to have wings, but going to be worse off than me, because I found that there were a lot of people worse off than me. And I still need the help that I needed back then, because I still find those days that I can't see a light. Right? And I put bushes aside, crawl out of my tent and come back into the world. And I start looking, because it makes me feel good. It makes me feel better. There's no real tangible way how you take something that's priceless and put a price on it. Like, what's the value of that gift? When you help somebody, what's the value of the gift? You don't know. But what if they pay it forward? As in, I'm paying it forward, right? What if they pay it forward? And what if the person they pay it forward to does it the same? And what if the person that person helps is your sister?
yeah,
Or your brother, or your mother, or your father, or your son, or your daughter? What if? So there's no way to evaluate the value of the gift. So don't be scared. When you're not feeling good, go find somebody that needs help.
I love that. I love how there's no endpoint to that either. It's not like you haven't solved it because you're going to keep doing it for the rest of your life, right? I mean, you can continually find someone who needs help and just keep on going with that idea. It's a really good one.
Angels without wings.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I love it. I love it. So, what's
Might
the
be,
best way?
that might be the guy on the corner,
Yeah,
right?
totally.
That
Yeah,
might be the guy on the corner.
yeah,
The guy that's, preaching, singing, whatever he's doing on the corner, or she is doing on the corner. Go look that person in the eye, because you just never know.
yeah. Well, I love that idea. I mean, last night I was at a movie with my wife, and we saw a guy on the street, and he asked if we had any money. We didn't have any change, but we bought him a bottle of water from the store, and he was so happy about it. And that just was nothing to us. It was just, oh, we'll spend $1 on a bottle of water. This guy needs it. And yeah, you're right. That kindness to him could result in him being kind to someone else, and it could be a chain reaction.
Yeah. I bet he shared that bottle.
I hope so. Yeah, that would make it even better, right? Make it even more worthwhile. Yeah, yeah. So for people who, I mean, like I said at the beginning, you're very well known. I think that most of my listeners will be familiar with some aspect of your work. But what's the best way to find out more information about all of these projects you have going on and all of your various initiatives? Is there a main website you direct people to?
Yeah, you can go to tomjackson.ca. It's really
Okay,
simple.
it's all there.
Tomjackson.ca. Yeah.
Should we? Is there any expectation of coming back to Winnipeg anytime soon for any kind of events?
Think Christmas.
Yeah, yeah,
If we're okay by Christmas, I'd very much like to come back to Winnipeg.
right on.